Hi. Good evening. Abay, nagmumukha akong may sked kasi may mga skip na araw. Scheduled talaga to. Hindi. Ngayon mag-ano tayo sa Katawa Shoujo. Magsisimula na tayo sa Act 3. Tama ba? Pagkakatanda ko, tama ba? Day by day, tama. Simulan na natin, syempre, agad-agad. Maikli lang ang oras ko. I rest my chin on my hand as I absent-mindedly look out the window, yet another of Muto's lecture droning on and on as if it were endless. The summer sky is almost alluring in its bright, cerulean splendor, only the odd passing cloud breaks up the deep blue expanse. Nga pala, lumipad si Lilly-sama. Tapos naiwan ako dito. I'm so lonely. So lonely. Nga pala, umiinom ako ng tsokolate. Pandesal mate. Tsokolate ba talaga to? Hindi ko type yung lasa pero wala na tayong magagawa. Ito lang yung tsokolate dito sa bahay. Okay lang, masarap naman kahit papaano. Edible. Namimiss ko tuloy yung tini Lilly-sama. Tsokolate naging tea. Saan galing yan? The summer sky is almost alluring in its bright cerulean splendor. Only the odd passing cloud breaks up the deep blue expanse. This feeling of longing is probably the outdoor side of me yearning to escape. Nakai, could you answer this? That side of me lost to the past now, though. In that case, I think it would use the dash ain suffix. Correct. Moving on, the suffix for. As my attention towards Muto's lip once again, I spot Misha giving me an enthusiastic thumbs up and nod at her to settle her down. It's been a handful of days since Lily's left for Scotland, days which have passed relatively peacefully. Life largely continued as usual, in contrast to what I'd expect, while thoughts of her have danced around on the edge of my mind since she left. Present events managed to subdue them, at least for the time being. So I find myself idly chatting with Hanako, as usual when lunchtime finally rolls by. Are the later ones in the series goods as well? Not really. You're probably best off just sticking to the original. His later books didn't live up to it, other than maybe God Emperor. Ano ba ang binabasa nyo? Historical? Hindi ako mahilig sa historical eh. Kumakain ako ng tinapay, sorry. Masarap lang ang pandesal meat kapag may tinapay. Hindi masarap sa crackers. Tinapay lang talaga. Thanks, I wasn't really sure if... As Hanako steps to the side, I see Shizune stride up in her typically business-like manner, flanked by ever-present bright-haired shadow. Try as I might, I can't read any hint of their intent from their face. Shizune's poker face and Misha's seemingly boundless cheerfulness are a devilish combination. Morning, Shizune, Misha. Hi. I accentuate the greeting with a nod to Shizune in order to get the point across. She promptly and curtly returns the gesture to both of us. It's been a long while since I've really talked to either of them. For a while, I thought they might be avoiding me, but I eventually came to the conclusion that Shizune really isn't the type to do so. Tat. Morning. Shi-chan says that Muto wants to see you sometime. Because of this statement, my face contorts as it does eaten spoiled food, giving Misha no end of amusement. Anyone think you were in trouble, Hichan? Tat. You may not be aware of it, but you have the least to worry about but you have the least to worry about out of anyone in the class. What an unexpected vote of confidence. Wait lang. Hindi, huwag kayong mag-alala. Hindi ako mag-ASMR. Wala akong balak mag-ASMR. Even Hanako nods hesitantly to affirm... what an unexpected vote of confidence. Even Hanako nods hesitantly to affirm the point. Thanks, I'll keep that in mind. There was something I wanted to ask you though. Dat, 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 dat. And what might be Hichan? And what might that be Hichan? I have a feeling this won't go over well, but here goes. Is there any reason why you and Lily don't get along? It seems like even a little civility would help you both in your duties. Shizune scolds there after Misha happily signs the word stops me in my tracks. In hindsight, I really could have worded that better. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see I'm sure I see Hanako move back just a little. Thankfully, Shizune noticed this and lets her temper dissipate as she forcefully runs her hand through her hair to let off steam. Let off steam. Steam tuloy. Perfectly on cue, Misha begins interpreting the second Shizune's arms begin to move. Dat, 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 dat. I would say that much such matters aren't relevant to you. But since you seem to have befriended Lily, she paused to adjust her glasses, evidently attempting to articulate her point in the best possible manner. Dat, 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 dat. While I assume the same of for her, While I assume the same of her, I cannot call my own views on the matter unbiased. Suffice to say, we were close before than we are now. Oh, interesting. Shizune makes a quick gesture to Misha to stop her from interpreting, then has a quick meeting with her before proceeding. The fact that the two can communicate so easily yet so secretly right in front of us is slightly disconcerting. You can say that as a secret language or more sign language. Hanako seems to share my curiosity at the proceedings, looking on with thinly masked interest. As they finish their opaque conversation, Misha looks slightly deflated. I guess her opinion on the matter wasn't followed. Shitan says you should ask Lily about it, but she doesn't want to be the one that gets you involved. Ah well, I'll just have to ask her after she gets back. At least I got some information out of Shizune. The two having been on close terms means that they weren't always at each other's throats. Or at least not quite to this extent. I understand. Thanks anyway. With a nod and a farewell, the two break away and walk out the door, no doubt headed straight for the student class. For the student council room. Could have gone worse, I suppose. Hanako lets out a long breath, relieved at the confrontation's resolution. I can say I blame her. I'll see you later then. Yeah, I'll meet you in the tea room. See ya. Eh? Okay lang. Mas maganda naman yon yung ina-associate mo pa rin yung sarili niya kay Hanako, except naman yung parang kay Lilly-sama lang talaga. Pero kay Lilly-sama lang talaga ako eh. Sorry. With that, she waves and joins the trickle of students leaving the classroom. Nakai, could I speak with you for a moment? Delivered in his typical monotone manner, he appeared. He apparently decided that I need a reminder to see him already. Oh my god. Where's my Where's my mahiwagang panyo ng katarungan? Wait. I'm back. I'm back. Eventually, I finished packing up my things. By the time I reach his desk, the classroom is close to empty. Yes, sir. He looks up, taking measure of my pace before giving an awkward, rather obviously acted chuckle. No need to feel guilty. You're not in any trouble. I just want to ask you something. I've asked a few of the other two students so far. That's something at least. For a moment, I thought my maxim of keeping my head down and pen up had failed me. So what did you want to talk about? To start with, what do you think of your progress in this class so far? Good? Bad? I detest that kind of question. For a fair amount of time, I try to think of a response that is neither pathetically humble nor cocky. I'd say I'm doing okay. The work doesn't seem too hard and I'm doing better on the test than I thought I would. That's a good answer. A correct one too. Planado. I give a mental sigh of relief at his satisfaction. To say that I don't gain a little pride from his comment would be a blatant lie. In the maelstrom of thoughts clouding my mind after learning that I'd be transferring to Yamaha, my school grades seemed utterly unimportant. Being entirely clueless as to what skill level would be assumed of me once I actually got here, I was hugely relieved when I found out that I understood well enough the schoolwork we'd be doing. I know your circumstances might have thrown a wrench in the works, but have you given any thought to your future? My future? What you'd like to do as a profession? Do you have any thoughts of where you'd like to be in 10 or 20 years time? I wouldn't be surprised if you covered this ground in your previous school, but I don't have any record of it if you have. I suppose the last year of high school is the last time when students would need to be mamamatay na ako. Yes. I suppose the last year of school would need to be think about such thing. To be honest, I really haven't lent it much thought compared to my immediate situation. Catching on to my thinking, Mutos picks up. It's okay if you haven't decided on anything specific yet. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of your classmates were still undecided. Maybe pursue one of your talents. He's rather obviously trying to squeeze an answer out of me, and something about his previous wording makes me suspicious. He didn't seem to be intent on asking everybody like this, so he must have some kind of selection criteria. But I guess our grades in his class. Well, something in science might be the path of least resistance. His face, his face brightens, no doubt pleased at the thought of a prize student following subject as a career path. Good, having a general idea is the first step. I would advise you to think on it though. I will. Things are kinda settling down, which will help. Good to hear. Oh, and I've noticed that Ikezawa's attendance and grades have improved since you came to be friends. I like to thank you for that. I'm surprised you noticed we knew each other. He gives a chuckle as awkward as his smile. This guy really has no idea how to properly act around others. Every facial movement seems like an act of careful but misdirected choreography. You could say that having a general idea of who knows whom is part of a teacher's job. Oh, okay. Catching himself before he goes off on a tangent, he loudly coughs into his hand. I'm sure you have things to do, though, so I'll stop there. Please do think about where you headed from here, as you don't have long to go before you finish high school. I will. Thanks. Oho. Sino si Ikazawa? Si Hanako? Um, Busin ko na lang to. Konti na lang eh. Mm. Ah, sarap. The brief talk ended, I take my leave. He goes back to fussing with the teaching materials on his desk. This is one of the times I'm envious of Lily, almost maddeningly so, to have one's future so clear and so assured, yet working towards it from such a young age. It's an idea so utterly irreconcilable with my own thoughts, marked in the present day just as they have always been. Oh, next day na agad. Wala man yung cutscene kay Hanako or kung ano man. Walking through the lobby to the cafeteria, I silently rue my daily routine having been completely thrown off. It had seemed like a normal day. I arrived in class before most due to waking early and having become quite adept at chucking down my pills without choking as I get ready for the day. But as students trickled in, one never materialized. Hanako. I stepped inside, my eyes scanning the expanse of the cafeteria in search of a suitable place to take a seat. It's a task made more difficult by the groups of students moving about and busily talking. Ge! A hand pounds my back hard a couple of times, severely widening me. I couldn't care less about the call as I focused my thoughts on my chest in a near automatic reaction. My my hand instinctively tightens on my breast, and I start going through the steps. I rehearse in my mind every other day. Breathe steadily, in and out. With a measure of relief, I can slowly feel my chest. chest becoming less tense. By the time I look back up, my face is covered in sweat from the experience. Hey man, are you okay? Motherfucker. Motherfucker. God damn it, don't do that, you idiot. He retreats back and expression of unease written on his face. Ugh. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have barked at him, considering he had no way to know. Hindi niya nga pala yung alam yung disease ko. I give a sigh and right myself with some difficulty. Sorry, I just have some chest problem. Chest problem. Sharp knocks aren't good. It seems strange to see him so upset. The fact that I can't do anything about it irritates me. Let's get lunch. Okay, it's good to have some company for once. We start off we start off to the serving line. One good thing is that Kenji and I can make small talk nowadays, as opposed to my only interaction with him being an anti-feminist lectures. Seems like it'd be hard to find an empty table. There's a few people I wouldn't mind sitting with. Nobody's like you though. I feel a shiver run through my spine. Clarify that now. Wala na ako ng hininga. Oh my god. The air is intoxicating, if you may say. They don't listen. Their minds are closed. It's the media, man. The goddamn brainwashing mainstream feminist fascist media. He takes a deep breath and I savor the second of silence. Damn, they control everything. Everything but you and me. I relax a little while we grab our food and drink. So, what you've got for me? Huh? Come on, you've been hanging around Sato and the other chick for ages now. Rumors are all over my class and probably some of the others too. If eavesdropping isn't a good habit. Let me guess, you never do it. Not even when you're bored, really? Well, fine, point taken. Both of us stopped to have a soup ladled in a couple of small bowls and placed onto our trays. The concoction that lands into the bowl looks pretty questionable, but at least it smells reasonably good. As we take our seats at a miraculously free table, I try to think of something that would actually interest him at all. I hope I can come up with an acceptable topic. I found an answer to that question you asked a couple of weeks back. Where's Lily's non-Japanese half comes from, that is. Good man, it's Russia, right? Totally Russia. Scotland. He's visibly stopped in his tracks. Scotland? Yeah, that was my reaction too. She can speak English fluently and everything. Damn it, do you realize what this means? How terrifying this news is to me? I think he's hyper ventilizing. Passing out for a little while would probably make him more relaxed than he normally has. Humor him. I have no idea what it means. Enlighten me. Siyempre, kailangan natin malaman yan. I just lost 1,000 yen, man. 1,000 yen. Damn, this is the worst day ever. You're kidding me. You made a bet about her nationality. Point. Ano naman, agreeable. May mga taong may ginagawa talagang ganyan. Wala, maganda lang kasing gawin. One of the dudes in my class was bugging me about it. I gave him some of my wisdom, and he had the audacity to say my logic was wrong. So what did he think? Germany or something, it doesn't matter. What matters is my 1,000 yen. Damn, this day is ruined thanks to her. What a bitch. He looks utterly devastated as he wolfs down several clams of his soggy soy sauce rice and only takes a few mouthfuls before he pokes his chopstick at me, stabbing the air repeatedly in revelation. You motherfucker. Sinasabi mong bitch si Lilly-sama. Fuck you. Lilly-sama is Lilly-sama. Why? Wag, nom, nom. Nalunok ko yung akin. Huwag kayong magala. Didn't your mother ever tell you not to speak with your mouth full? He gives me a dirty look before choking down the rest of the food left in his mouth, and taking a gulp of juice is rather unsightly. Remembering my own food sitting in front of me, as I decide to get the task of eating the cafeteria food over and done with as fast as possible. The sooner I do so, the sooner the experience will be over. So, as I was saying, why would anyone want to live in that place anyway? I mean, what is there to see? Grassy plains? That's it. Lots and lots of grassy plains. And men in kilts. I'm not sure which is worse. this food or his worldview. I can feel my face being dragged down by their combined weight. Not that he'd notice or care. It's not that bad. Why do you care about her so much anyway? She's just her class representative after all. He gives a malevolent chuckle. Where this anyone but Kenji, I'd feel uneasy at how he sounds. I finally found the chink in the Feminist Legion's armor. It took a while, but I'm confident this is going to be how we can bring down the whole system. I'm about to blow your mind. Are you ready? I tune out his rambling for a moment as I finish my rice and start on an appetizing soup. One taste is enough to confirm that it's cold. Ready as I'll ever be. I confirmed that Lily is in the mafia. What? What? Alright, stay with me for a second there and I'll describe the scene. I wish I could do otherwise. Lily's there, walking down the street after school. You're not stalking her, are you? No, damn man, I do have some self-preservation, but not dignity or morals or social standards. Anyway, as I was saying, this car pulls up next to her, and guess who steps out? A man in pinstripe suit waves her in the. Then the two leave just like that. I tell you, man, she's under protection. Si Aki, si, si Akira, si Akira yung nakita. ah, a man in a. Oh, I can see where this is going now. It takes effort not to say in exasperation. Let me guess, this man was about average height, had a slightly slender build, had a blonde hair look for and smiled a lot. Uh, Ugh. He looks positively stunned. I take advantage of the moment of quiet to quickly gulp a mouth of cold soup. It seems you're more observant than I thought. Yes, I have chosen well. He giggles a little and nods to himself so dramatically that it looks comical. I can tell whether that's intentional or not, and that fact makes me frown. This has important ramification, you know. If she really is connected to people like them, and we're smart about what we do with this information, we could turn this into our greatest weapon against the student council. Once he starts rambling into conspiracy territory, my just said suddenly becomes of much more importance. Wait lang. Only half listening to his pontification, my mind drifts to the matter of Lily and her antipathy for Shizune. The past between them is steadily becoming more coherent, but I'm not even sure if I should be learning of her past this way. Indeed, even if I do work out what went on, it really doesn't seem like my business to go and interfere. Damn, not having Lily around is making my thoughts wander. I'm noticeably more bored and silent without her company, and the same goes for Hanako. All we do during lunch anymore is eat and play chess. Come to think of it, I need to go check on Hanako after school too. Considering her much improved attendance, I guess she's come down with something. Oh, Nakai. I stop as I'm about to leave the classroom, turning on the ball of my heel to meet Muto. He's holding out to me a couple of the worksheets we'd work on during the day with his long, lanky arm. Would you mind giving this to Ekazawa? I don't really ask one of the girls to do it, but I assume you'll be checking on her. For a moment, I briefly considered the possibility of that being more than an innocent prediction. I quickly discard the idea though, as it's hard to think of him acting in such a Machiavellian way. Ano Machiavellian? Oh, alam ko Machiavellism. Maganda yun. Panoorin yun, Machiavellism. Good shit. Undoubtedly harem, pero good shit. Sure, no problem. Walking up the hallway of the girls' dormitory, several ideas of why Hanako's been absent float around my head. The most obvious of them is just a simple cold. That said, she may not even be sick at all. It's been almost a week since Lily left, and despite her at least appearing to be normal, I suspected that she's somewhat more insecure about it than she's letting on. Eventually, I come to Hanako's dormitory room. Its simple brown door separating us. Her room's position next to Lily is extremely convenient, and probably a large contributor to their meeting in the first place. Grimacing slightly at the prospect of her being sick, I rap knuckles on the door. Silence. I listen intently for any sound of shuffling coming from inside, but I can't hear a thing. I knock on the door again, slightly harder. Still no answer. How strange. A door opens behind me. A freckled and somewhat scrawny underclassman I don't recognize comes out and is briefly taken off guard by my presence. Ah, hi. Ask about tahan ako, syempre. Ano pa ba? Actually, this may be rather fortuitous meeting. Hey, excuse me, do you know if Hanako's come out of her room today or not? She doesn't seem to be answering. Ikezawa is Ikezawa. Her not answering the door is totally normal. Tall, boring. That tall foreign girl's the only person she'll ever talk to after all. She gives a shrug before walking off down the hallway, having much more important matters to attend to than Hanako or me. Her dismissive attitude annoys me. Hanako must have a reputation as a hermit. Ugh. A reputation that doesn't seem outright undeserved, at least in the time before we'd met. Scratching my head, I make one last attempt at getting Hanako to answer as I knock on the door one final time. Hanako, it's just me. Muto said to give you some stuff. For a while, the attempt seems just as unsuccessful as the last. Just before, I slip the sheets under her door, though I can hear the handle rattling. As the door opens halfway, I do my best to look Hanako over as quickly as possible. It's a task made somewhat more difficult by her oversized gown hiding so much of her body. She doesn't look sick, or at least not immediately so. To be honest, I'd have preferred that to her expression right now. Hi Hanako, Muto wanted me to give you this since you weren't in class today. I hold out those loose sheets which she tentatively takes in her hands. The way she moves in is weird, devoid of thought, as if she's some kind of mechanical automaton, rather than a living being. Are you okay? If you're feeling sick or anything, I could get the nurse. It feels almost pitiful to put on such a routine get well soon act. I can think of anything else I could possibly do for her though. She seems to collect herself a little at the notion, but only a little. I'm fine. Okay. Oh, awkward silence. An awkward silence follows, eventually ended by her nodding solemnly in farewell and closing the door. The entire experience feels surreal. Surreal? Surreal? Di ko alam kung paano basahin talaga eh. Masyadong malamig. Naka-electric fan pa ako, kaso nga lang masyadong malamok. Ano bang kailangan kong gawin? More than a little put off, I wander back to my room and hope that she'll be better by tomorrow, despite not knowing exactly what's wrong with her. Baka namimiss niya lang talaga si Lily. Ako din eh, namimiss ko din si Lilly-sama. Once again, I find myself in front of Hanako's door after another of her unexplained absences from class. Tat 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 tat, knock 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 knock. Nothing. Considering this the second day in a row she's been like this, I'm starting to worry about her. Summoning my willpower, I decide to try one last way to get her to respond. Hanako, if you don't say anything, I'll go get the nurse for you. Go away. What? It's hard to tell whether her tone's one of depression, anger, or both. What in the world can I actually do to help her if she doesn't even want help? The message is clear enough. I can just leave her like this, though. Just sitting in her room for days on end. Rubbing my temples in thought, I withdraw to my own room to think about how to proceed. Rationality is what's needed here, as an overreaction may just make matters worse. I dig around drawer after drawer of my desk, looking for where I put that damn piece of paper. Before she left, Lily told me the number to call her on while in Scotland, and I wrote it down now that I needed it, though that damn thing is... Ah, here. I probably should have just entered it directly into my cell phone. Come to think of it, without further I entered the numbers and anxiously pressed the call button. Wow, may cellphone pala ako. Bakit lumang-luma? Hindi touchscreen. Parang di ko naabutan eh, no? The fact that the phone rings at all shows that I've got the prefix for a call to Scotland, right at least. I've never made an international call before, so that's some comfort. Eventually, the phone picks up a feminine voice I don't recognize on the other hand, probably Lily's mother. Sato. English suddenly finding myself unprepared. I guess I can understand a word she says, either due to my limited vocabulary or her heavy accent. I should have anticipated this since according to Lily, her mother is a native Scot. I soldier on in the hope that she must know some Japanese considering it's her daughter's native language. It's Hisao Nakai speaking. An an enthusiastic sound of realization can be heard as she recognized the language. My feeling of relief is immense. Ah, you must be one of Lily's friends from school, correct? Even so, her accent means I have to concentrate to work out what she's saying. Yes, that's right. Pleased to speak to you, Mrs. Sato. It's so nice of her to find someone so polite. Lily, dear, it's for you. Her mother seems nice, if a little over enthusiastic given the mundane situation. There's a small silence as Lily takes her time getting to the phone. In the distance, I can just make out her mother scolding her playfully for just getting up. Hello, Lily speaking. You sound awful. She makes a sound somewhere between a dying animal and a yawn. The one thing I did remember to check before calling was the time. It would be pretty late in the morning over there, so she really has no excuse. Not feeling well? Just tired. What time is it there? Late afternoon. School finished for the day not long ago. You're really not a morning person, are you? I don't need you to make fun of it as well. It takes me a measure of restraint not to laugh at her pain-grown poor girl. How are you doing over there? Then, bar the mornings? It's been enjoyable after not meeting them for so long. Just having a meal together with my parents is nice. Though the pool and the size of the house might have something to do with that as well. Even if they're not in Japan, from the way it sounds, her family must be pretty wealthy to live so luxuriously. Are things alright with you and Hanako? Damn, I was hoping that wouldn't be brought up quite so quickly. Bilis. I take a moment to try and sort out exactly how to describe the situation without causing her undue worry, but she picks up on that without a word being said. Hanako's not well, is she? How did you know? Because today is her birthday. I'd hope she might have gotten at least a little better after coming to know you, but how is she right now? She missed school yesterday and seems out of sorts when I check up on her. Today she missed school again and just told me to go away. I've really got no idea what to make of it. Has this happened in the past? Is it related to her scarring in some way? Unfortunately so. Roughly the same thing happened last year when her birthday came up. As far as I can tell, it's because her parents died in the accident that caused her scarring, and Hanako blames herself for their deaths. What she says does seem to make sense if she blaming herself on her birthday. She may well be ruining that she was ever born. The fact that Lily seems so in the dark about it though, almost to the extent that I am, is a surprise. So that's why she lives in a student dormitories. As well, as she told you any more about the accident? As close as we've become, she's very barely told me anything about what happened. What I know about is largely conjecture. Inubos ko lang. She sounded depressed, almost defeated, considering the trauma Hanako must have gone through. I really can't fault Lily for not knowing. Nevertheless, she still seems to consider it a personal failing. Don't blame yourself, Lily, with everything she's gone through. I know, thank you, Hisao. I'm sorry I can't be of more help to you. It's fine, I'll just give it some more thought. Thanks, and have a good time in Scotland. I... Hmm? It's nothing. Thank you for taking care of Hanako. Okay, bye. Goodbye. Lilly-sama! And with that, the line goes silent. Amid the seemingly only increased number of questions I can't answer, the most immediate is what Lily was going to say. Oh no. I'm an idiot. She must have thought I was calling to talk with her, but I only asked for help with Hanako. Even more shameful than that thought is the fact that such an impression would be largely correct. Well, first thing first, for now I need to at least sort out Hanako and make sure that she's actually eating okay. The occasional passing students give badly hidden glance at the plate of food I carry to the female dormitories. It's hardly a meal to be proud of, only being an instant microwave meal from the convenience store, but it should at least fill her up. Eventually, I arrive outside of her room, after having to ward off a couple of girls who jokingly tried to pilfer the food I'd taken so long to procure. I decide to forego knocking since it was proven to be an utter useless measure and is somewhat difficult to do with my hands full. Hanako, it's Hisao. I know you're listening. I got some food for you. Silence as I expected. I leave it beside your door. Please eat it at least, okay? There, I've said my piece. Now it's up to her. Putting the plate down, I walked back to my own room to eat my dinner. By the time I returned to Hanako's dormitory, a good hour's passed. Oh, thankfully there isn't anything. Oh, seen beside her door. I walk back at least somewhat happier that she's eating. If she intends to get through this by herself, then being able to help, even if it's just in such a small way, is at least something. And damn, you're too much of a good man. You're going to, going that far for Hanako. But Lilly-sama is our. I sit reading in the library after school, turning page after page, barely registering the word written on each out of sheer boredom. With my cheek resting in my hand, I can't help noticing the slightly rough feeling against my palm. It won't be long before I'll need to get a razor. Giving up on reading, I simply let my head drop onto the book in front of me. Things have quieted down considerably since Hanako began attending school again. When she first returned to class, nothing was said nor done that wasn't part of the usual routine. It's been the same way since neither of us decided to bring up her accident, so there simply wasn't any point in pursuing it. Thus, a few days went by, the daily grind continuing just as it had before. It's only natural that my mind would wander to other places and, more importantly, other people. The lily-shaped hole in the daily life of Hanako and me has been pretty noticeable for a while now. I'd be pleased to say that this has allowed me time to refine just what my thoughts on her exactly are. But alas, I've had no such luck. It doesn't help that many attempts to do so have led to the troublesome topic of Iwanako. Every time my thoughts drift into that direction, I reflexively try to think about something else. Why did this have to happen now? Um, I turn and look up to the source of the tentative voice coming from behind me. Ah, sorry, I didn't mean to disturb anyone. That's not it. Ah, I glanced around the orange-tinted room, quickly realizing how silly my apology must have sounded. In the time I spent thinking and lazing about in here, everyone's well and truly left. Library closing. If you don't want to go, I could keep it open a bit longer. It's no trouble at all. Don't worry, I should get going anyway. Thanks. As I get up and begin to move, I feel Yuko's eye drilling into my back. Is there something wrong? You look depressed. Are you okay? Yuko nervously twists her fingers as she says this, unsure whether she's overstepping her boundaries or not. I really can't tell if she's more worried about my mood or about bothering me. Normally, I just shrug it off and assure her that I'm fine. But my reflective mood gets the better of me. Despite being stopped, she really doesn't feel as much as like an authority figure as the others. It's just, I guess, the best term for it would be relationship problems. Oh, I'm not too good with that kind of thing. My own only relationship ended a bit abruptly. But if you want to talk about it, I mean, I could listen, I think. Now, I feel kind of bad for bringing it up. She's not that old though, so at least she has a good chance of finding another partner. It isn't like we're in a bad situation right now. We have spent many days together as friends, something going out to do stuff, that kind of thing. But I'm starting to want to do more for her, learn more about her, and be with her more. I'm not sure whether it's actually love or not, though, and our friendship as it stands is enjoyable. Oh my god, it's the status quo problem na naman. Lagi naman. You shouldn't let that stop you. Ah, sorry. How to say this? I think that's nice to you that you have a good friendship, but school is going to eventually end. Do you think you'll be fine with knowing it if it could have gone further after you've graduated? I guess that's the crux of the matter. I really have no idea what the answer to that question is. Well, I can't really help there. What your true feelings are is something you have to decide for yourself. But I think that if you do love her, you should definitely say something. Paano yun? Pag sinabi yun, baka hindi niya matanggap yung alam mo na, yung lagi namang problema, yung parang, kapag sinabi ko, paano kapag hanggang friends lang talaga kami, ganon, ganyan. Masyadong masakit. Yung parang ano, mag-iiwasan kayo kasi masyadong awkward, kahit naman sabihin na kahit hanggang friends na lang, awkward pa rin. Hindi na kayo magiging friends. Stranger na lang, kaya mahirap. After thinking about it really hard, I decided that even though my relationship didn't work out, it's still better that way than never knowing if it might have. or not. Eh? Eh? I never expected Yoko to sound so wise. It only makes sense that with more life experience than I should have a better idea about this. While I suppose not very much was actually answered, talking to her has helped get off my chest, and I have no doubt I should confess if I really do like Lily. I give a slightly frustrated sigh. If only reading so much actually helped when it comes to situations like this. She gives a girlish giggle which only reinforces my view of her as being different from the usual stuff here. Namatay na ako. Ah, wait lang. Mamatay na ako. In the edit call, it all comes down what will happen after school finishes once again. Considering what happened before I came to Yamako, it feels like being asked to keep up with a field of runners despite having started from a dozen yards behind them. It's just one more motive to move on from the past. The last thing I need right now is to get too caught up in that and getting homesick while I'm at it. Oh, homesick. First time I hear about that. Once again, I find myself calling Lily. My phone bill is going to be horrific considering this is international. But it's worth it. I don't only want to smooth over her feelings from the last time I called. I gently want to talk to her again. When the phone finally picks up, I still recognize the voice on the other end. Sato? Question mark. Hello, Mrs. Sato. May I speak? Damn, I forgot how the rest is supposed to go. It's not encouraging to forget such a small amount of words, even if I didn't spend that long trying to memorize them. May I speak with Lily, please? Wala ko yon yung parang nag-try siya mag-English or ano man. Scottish. Tapos ngayon, Japanese na ulit. Hello again, Hisaw. Are you teaching yourself English? Just a little. I don't think I'm too good at languages in general. Oh, don't say that. Your pronunciation was good. I'll get Lily for you. Just wait a moment. I obediently wait as she goes off in search of Lily, the other end going silent. Eventually, a much more awake sounding Lily than last time's answers the time over there being past noon by now. Hisaw, are you there? Yeah, I'm here. Hi. Good afternoon. Sorry for taking so long. I was outside in the garden. Gardening? Unfortunately, I found I'm not good at it. So I just smell the flowers. I think my fingers appreciate it more. I take it Hanako's recovered a bit. Yeah, I just made sure she was eating and eventually she righted herself. Thanks for the help the other day. I don't think I was really that much help. The main thing is that she's better though. True. How's life over there then? It sounds like you've been living in nothing short of a mansion. I wouldn't call it a mansion, but it is rather large. It's obviously what she wants to say, though modestly stops her. I'm a little envious, but it is her holiday. It's a nice house to stay in, though there's a beach near here too, which Akira is especially fond of. She's a swimmer? She's constantly dragging me there to have a swimming competition, which she wins every time. Lily doesn't strike me as very athletic at all, so not being adept at swimming seems logical enough. Pero that makes me imagine of Lilly-sama in a swimsuit. Nice. The fastest I've ever seen her move is her understandably relaxed pace during her walk to and from the suburbs down the hill from the school. It makes the image of her swimming hard to imagine. The beaches there must look nice. They'd be less crowded than the ones around here at least. Indeed, Akira says the area around here looks beautiful because it's so far outside the city. I only realize what I've said after I say it, but it doesn't bother her at all. It's still easy to forget that she can see when she's not around, despite the time we've been friends. That said, the local accents sometimes make communication a bit hard. It's a constant reminder that this isn't home. While the fact that she doesn't consider her parents' residence to be her home, hmm? her parents' residence to be her home makes good sense. It made me realize that I can't really answer whether the same goes for me. Graduation from Yamako is distant enough to be difficult to view objectively, and I've spent so much time in this small room. I've come to accept the dormitory as my new home surprisingly quickly. I guess that would be hard to deal with. Is your knowledge of English holding up? Thankfully, I may be fluent, but being in a position where I have to use it often helps in curbing my Japanese accent, so it's been useful practice. I hear you're trying to teach yourself English, more like memorizing a few lines and failing at even that much. I'm really not cut out for learning another language. My admission of defeat draws an amused giggle. I believe that there are things one chooses to do in life, and also things that are chosen for one to do in life. You can take comfort in the fact you're better than me in science and math, at least. At least that helps me in making me Muto star student. I wouldn't worry about it. They're usual skills for many jobs, right? That's what he tells me. His face veritably lit up when I said I'd probably go into a career involving either. We both share a warm laugh at events that have befallen each other on opposite ends of the world. It's nice and reminds me of our simple small talk that I've been missing since she left. Good small talk. Small talk is nice. As each of us waits for the other to begin speaking, I decide to push ahead with my feelings. I can feel my throat tightening slightly. We I miss you. Oh, sheesh, sheesh, so straight. The silence on the other end of the phone tells me she's given the word their due weight. But as it goes on, I can tell feeling more and more apprehensive. Thankfully, the silence ends almost as quickly as it had begun. I miss you too, Hiso. Phew! Phew! What a turn back, brother. Goodbye. Goodbye, Lily. Once again, the phone is hung up, simply and without any further ado. The light and tentative, almost shy voice, her warm and soft tone, I'd simply be lying to myself if I were to say that I don't recognize this feeling for what it is. With thoughts of Lily's dancing on my mind, I started anticipating her return. Today has been a most excellent day. Excellent day. Phew, phew, phew. So good. Is it the day? Is it the day that Lilly-sama will be back? Is it the day na? Lang, umano naman yung aking ano. Sorry. Sorry. I sit listening to another of Moto's long-winded lectures, my mind wandering far from the scribbles on the dirty blackboard. Since I called daily, my mind's been drawing into two directions. Both roughly lead to the same conclusion. I've started to feel oddly detached from my past life. It's only been a month and a half since I arrived here, yet this school becomes a second home. I've gained new friends and contacts, managed to get to grips with the school's lifestyle and culture, and become accustomed to the quirks of my classmates. To become used to a school where disabilities are the norm, rather than the rare exception, still catches me off guard sometimes when I think on it. The same school that populated by burn victims, amputees, the blind, the deaf, and all manner of disabilities in between. If someone had described this school to me before I'd come, I'd have shrugged it off as an overactive imagination. Even when I first arrived, I felt like the Dutch, coming to this strange new line for the first time. It's amazing how quickly one becomes used to the environment they're forced to live in, really. And now I've even found someone that's got me entirely smitten. What a strange life. Whew, smitten, nice. At least in, tayo ito, parang, nare-realize na ni Hisaw na, love, he loves Riri-sama. Haha, Lily-sama. Before my mind can wander any further though, I find a page of lined paper slip under my distracted face. The garish bright pink ink has no doubt been penned by Misha. Don't look so bored, Hichan. School's nearly over. 3-day holiday. Alright, we get Saturday and Monday off. Can complain about having less school, I suppose. I uncap my pen and scribble on the page before covertly passing it back to her. Flicking my eyes to the front of the class every now and then, Muto continues scrolling away arcane equation and formulas on the board. I'm guessing you have something planned? Misha takes the paper back and hunches over it comically, even for her with her tongue poking through the side of her mouth. Did she misinterpret my expression as depressed and is she trying to cheer me up? Student council work with Chichan, of course. You're not still brooding over that, surely. But Hichan could have helped us poor lonely girls. I lend you hand for today if I weren't going to be busy. Oh, naughty Hichan. I'm just going to meet Lily with Hanako. I don't know what you've got going through your head. So Lily's back. Yeah, she's coming on the evening flight with her sister, so she'll be back in school next week. As she takes the note back and begins to write, I look up to see an unwelcome sight. While Fractalet trying to silently catch Isha's attention, Muto confidently strides to the gap between the desk from the front of the class, his intent gaze focused directly on her. She suddenly stops writing as his tall figure cast on an impossibly long shadow over the page. I He silently takes the piece of paper from her and begins to read. Sweating bullets, I quickly glance around the class, not noting their complete silence. Of course, it would just have to be one thing that actually gets their attention during the lesson. After a scant few seconds examining the page, he rolls the paper up into a small tube and slightly bops Misha over the head with it. Half an hour until you can hop off to the student council. I think you can hold on until then. Misha face crack as the entire class erupts into laughter. He might well be awkward, but he knows how to handle her excellently. I'd probably feel sorry for her if I weren't as busy stifling my own laughter. No mercy. Hisaw, is that one it? No, I think that's some foreign airline. And so the third aircraft they're not on comes into land. For the past half hour, we'd been whiling away the time with small snippets of pointless chatter. Lily and Akira's flight has been delayed, and at this rate, it'll be probably be dark before their plane arrives. Is that one it? No, the company colors are wrong. Hanako's eye fluttered left and right, following the trickle of people in and out of the huge glass doors ahead of us. Fortunately, nobody pays her much heed. Their attention, ah, ugh, ugh, ano? Fortunately, nobody pay much heed. Their attention apparently direct towards greater things. Uh, Maybe that one is it. No, I think that's. Hold on a minute. I think that one might be it after all. I take still some time before the billboard changes their flight status to disembarking. A loud yawn sneaks up on me, not allowing enough time to stifle it. My sleep patterns have once again been all over the place, likely due to a mix of worrying about Hanako and the side effects of my medications. He's out over there. I lock to Hanako, then follow her gaze to the airport door. Oh, Lily, they're here. Really? Hey, Lilly-sama! Oh my god, I've missed you so much. I really miss you so much. Parang ilang araw hindi nakita, Lilly-sama. Oh, oh. We all call out to each other in greeting, quickly shuffling over to the side to avoid blocking the passage of others. Lily! Hanako jumps forward to hug Lily, a wide smile on her face being all that's needed to see her happiness at Lily's return. Lily simply smiles in return, her voice soft. It's wonderful to meet you again, Hanako. As the two give each give each other a hug, well deserved after all that's happened while she was gone, I turned to Akira. Yo, you're pretty late. Yeah, there was a really bad storm over the airport. We got drenched just going from the car to the door. I guess you'll appreciate the weather here more then. Welcome back to you too, Lily. Hanako breaks up from Lily as I speak. For a long time, neither of us say a word. Contrary to what I thought her homecoming would be like, the atmosphere felt awkward, almost stifling. Both of us try to guess each other's feeling, not quite sure about what should be said. Damn, this is exactly what I fear when I thought of trying to move things forward between us. Lily runs her hand through her fair hair and awkwardly twirls one of her bangs in her fingers, clearly trying to think of how best to react. Eventually, thankfully, Lily gives a small sign breaks the silence. Thank you, Hisaw. It's nice to be back. Are you okay? You look tired. Evidently not recollecting herself all that well, she quickly waves her hand in front of her face to stave off any concern Hanako may have over her. I'm okay, really. It's just a bit of jet lag. Weak. Pathetic. You don't have any? She simply gives a big grin popping off her modest chest. I feel absolutely fine. That's not fair. Hahaha. Oh well, you shouldn't take too long to get rid of it. Ah, that's right, Hisaw. Yeah? Don't we have a holiday from school soon? I'd have forgotten if Misha hadn't reminded me this morning. We've got a 3-day weekend starting from tomorrow. Akira playfully bumps her elbow lightly into Lily's side, grinning. Told ya, you wouldn't miss it. You have something planned? If neither you nor Hanako are busy, I've got no plans. So something to do with be so something to do with be appreciated. Hanako? No, nothing. That's good. I was thinking we could go to my family's summer house for a bit of quiet over the break. We've rarely used it recently though, so we'd have to dust things off a little while we're here. Oh, where is it? Up north in Hokkaido. The place is practically deserted, so it should be a nice quiet break for you guys. You're not coming? Nah, got a little holiday of my own set up with my boyfriend. Phew phew! I lower my eyes at her, suspicious of her intentions. It sounds like we're just cleaning up the summer house for you. That's perhaps a valid conclusion. Both of us zero in on Akira. Her face somewhat evasive, looks like we're right. That's just a convenient bonus. Really, me and the guy left it in pretty good condition last we were there, I promise. Now then, I'm out of here. Already, Akira. She quickly turns and walks away, her hand held high. See ya in a few days, guys. Lily and I can only sigh at her hasty retreat. It does sound like it would be a nice place to go. Lily gives an enthusiastic nod, taking her carry bag in one hand and placing her other on Hanako's shoulder for guidance as we begin to make our way to the taxi area. After the fracas of the past few days, spending a week and in the country alone with her and Hanako sounds like a dream. With Hanako? No. The more I think about it, the more sure I am this will be the right time and place to confess my feelings to her. Phew! You naughty naughty boy, sabi nga daw ni Misha. Ano ba? Agad-agad. The morning chill wraps itself around my shivering body. I huff into my cupped hands to desperately try and stave off the cold as we mill about on the station platform. Lily's clothing looks rather ill-suited for the temperature around us. I can only hope it's indicative of what she expects the weather to be like at our destination. Damn it, Lily, why do we have to get here so early? Unfortunately, the train schedule is against us. The next train to Hokkaido is at 2 in the afternoon. Great, just great. I pause a moment to wipe some sleep out of my eyes, and Lily promptly takes advantage of the opening. Cheer up, Hisao. Once we get there, it'll be much warmer. Why not just take the bullet train? A normal train going to take hours to get us there, so we might as well take the Shinkansen line as far north as it goes and just switch at the end. There's a certain charm to older trains, wouldn't you agree? I'd agree if I weren't freezing in the morning cold because we decided to take on one. I'm sorry, Hisao. Sorry, what for? I was the one who suggested taking a normal train. Way to make me feel guilty. All I can do is sigh and cover my face with my hand. It's fine, I'm just grumbling. My, Hano, you needn't shoulder all the blame yourself. Even without your suggestion, I still have opted for the same thing. Thankful for the quick interception from Lily. I take a quick gander around the station. Aside from us, the train's platforms all but deserted. The morning dew settling on the empty benches. I guess no one else was masochistic enough to brave the very early morning. Though if someone was, they'd more than notice the huge bag both Lily and Hanako brought with them. Just what did you have to pack into those things anyway? The bags? She paused a moment, tilts her head in thought. A change of clothing, raincoat, underwear, sleepwear, and number of books. I think that's most of it. You make it sound you make it sound as if I'm unprepared. You brought less? Underwear and a pack of cards. That's it. And my pills, but never mind that. No pajamas. Damn, I knew I forgot something. As I ruffle my hair in frustration, Lily sighs. There should be clothes you could use there. Akira still occasionally goes there, after all. And I think some of our parents' clothing is still in storage. I don't think there'll be any problem with you borrowing a set of pajamas if needed be. Thanks, still I don't mind just sleeping in my normal clothing. For 2 days? Good point. Not really, though 2 days would be borderline. It's more than looking even a little like a slab would be unacceptable while in the presence of two girls. As we leisurely talk on the station platform, an announcement sounds from the loudspeaker loudly heralding our ride's arrival. Looking past Lily and Hanako, though the strange still well out of sight, a quick check of my watch is enough to see that this is the one we'll be taking. The 5:30 train was ours, right? Correct. Either of you want me to take care about it? Mine's not exactly heavy. My, that's very gentlemanly of you, Hisaw. Don't accept too reluctantly now. As I bend down to pick up Lily's large bag, I look up to see Hanako picking up hers. You fine with that? A silent nud's the only answer. I'm starting to get the feeling that by the trip ends, I'll be able to count every sentence she said on one hand. Oh, hot damn. With the morning landscape passing by the window and the occasional rattle of the train bumping the carriage around, I try to focus my attention on the aging play cards held in my hands. I'll raise you 5. I? She crunches her face and leans over to Lily conspiratorially, the two exchanging a few whispered words, considering how often this has happened so far. I'm coming to doubt Hanako's grasp of how to play poker. It doesn't seem to disturb Lily's reading though. Her hands feet fleeting over each page with only occasional correction to account for the train's bumping and rocking. My collection of chess pieces that we're using as chip is steadily growing anyway, so it doesn't really bother me. Looking around us, our carriage is almost as empty as the station platform with waited for the train itself on. Only a handful of people can be seen looking mostly like tourists and couples on holiday. While the two continue their less than clandestine strategizing, a small boy looks over the seat and stares at me, hoping he doesn't begin to stare at Hanako. I simply give him a wave and a smile. Thankfully, he retreats back to his seat after finding me far too boring to waste his attention on. I'll see you and raise you another 5. Damn, you got me. I fold. I've been bluffing and she's caught me. Hanging my head, I push over a large portion of my winnings. Hanako looks absolutely delighted, and even if Lily keeps her attention focused on her reading material, I can see the smirk on her face. They're both extremely pleased. For a moment, I try to work out what Lily's reading, but the cover is too faded to read beyond the fact that the Roman letters are on it. A pity I can't read the braille above the printed title. What you're reading, Lily, the title looks like it's in English. That's right, it's And Then There Were None, an old British story. I could read it to you if you'd like. She's extended the offer with a grin, obviously in jest. I think I'll pass. Thanks. Baka makatulog lang. I find it farther na ako yung nagbabasa kaysa ako nakikinig lang. Pero syempre, spoon feed ako kaya okay lang din makinig. Pero yun yung kapag mayroong kapag may tinuturo. Pero kapag binabasa lang yung isang story, mas maganda kapag sarili mong pace. Kaya mahirap kapag yung sa mga klase, yung sabay-sabay kayong pagbabasahin ng teacher. Ang hirap. Meron kasing sariling pace sa pagbabasa. Yung papatasin kayo isa-isa bawat paragraph or kung ano man ng English teacher nyo sa mga story. Kainis yun. After a seemingly endless trip, we finally reached the promised land of the Sato Summer House. Even after the train trip, that walk up seemed to take forever. Despite my grumblings though, I'd never guessed the sight that would be in store for us once we've traveled that long deserted road. It looks more like a farmhouse than the everyday house I'd imagine. Small in size and surrounded by trees and bushes. An empty expanse of wheat fields and farming land can be seen as we walk up, the fencing only consisting of rickety old wooden planks. It really drives home how far we are from major cities and is a sight that feels antithetical to the environment I grew up in. The only thing that doesn't surprise me it is Western styling. Wow, it's amazing out here. It's wonderful. That's nice to hear. While Akira may have said that she kept the house in reasonable condition, I was worried that we might have different standards of reasonable. It looked like there isn't another soul for Mars. I thought Akira would be the type to keep to the city. Lily furrows her brow in thought, seemingly recalling almost forgotten knowledge. From memory, there's a small town not too far ahead. Other than that, though, it's largely just old farmland. Oh. Akira and I stayed in our parents' house, which was in the nearest city for a while. But after they left, we decided to move into a smaller, more easily maintainable house. To find a place like this in Japan nowadays is kind of anachronistic. Well, this town does have quite a bit of history. I looked down the street one last time before getting back to the task at hand. Shall we go in then? I'm parched. It was a long walk to get here. Lily gives an enthusiastic nod, the three of us lugging our bags into the house. As soon as we set foot inside, Hanako and I start looking around, taking in every detail of where we'll be staying for the next few days. All the artifacts of another life stopped mid-motion are around the house, such as television guide lying beside the counter. It was on and pans in the adjoining kitchen, still sitting on the stove. It's a strange feeling, really, as if we're stepping into Akira's life for a brief moment, before leaving in a couple of days, just as we'd come. Of course, the more mundane reality is that she just hadn't cleaned up after herself that well. Where should we put our bags? I'll show Hanako our bedroom. You can put your hers if you like. You mean I don't have the same bedroom as you two? what a what a dense motherfucker. Hanako flowers in the full blush as Lily takes her cheek in her hand. Oh my, how bold. You too. Hold on, if I'm to leave my bags here, where will I be sleeping? Well, seeing as we lack a guest bedroom, the convertible futon, ha. Sorry, Hisaw. I lamenting my place on the bottom rung of sleeping location priorities. I guess there's no other choice. Lily leaves to show Hanako to their bedroom, so I take a small tour of my surroundings after I drop my bag on the floor. The kitchen, just like the living room, is fairly modest. The rustic nature of the wooden furnishing drives home just how far we are from civilization. Returning to the living room, I decide to try out the television until they get back. With a touch of the remote, it immediately flickers to left, apparently set to a news channel. Almost flapping down from exhaustion, rather than sitting, I lay back and watch. And watch. And watch. Napatulog na. Isaw. I quickly blink to wake myself up. Lily and Hannah have returned minus their bags. From the Hokkaido night sky visible outside, it looks I drifted off to sleep. Looking to the wall-mounted clock, it's already 10. You found the television then? Yeah, it really does feel nice and homey here. I'm glad you like it. You were already out like a light when we come back after unpacking our things, so we didn't have the heart to wake you sooner. Judging from her giggle, I must sound funny when I sleep. I swiftly decided not to inquire. There's some dinner waiting for you in the kitchen. Hanako gives a deep yawn and only just remembering to cover her mouth at the last second. My, are you tired? I didn't get much sleep last night. I'm pretty tired too. It was a long walk up here and it's getting late. If that's the case, I suppose we should retire for the night. Good night, Hisao. Good night. Night. With that, they quietly turn and walk back to their bedroom. Rubbing my eyes, I wonder if I'll able to get back to sleep after being woken up. I suppose I'll eat something and watch some more TV quietly before going to bed. May natatandaan akong adult content sa sa part na to. Ay, oo, sa next part pa pa yan. Hindi ko matandaan. Sorry na naman sa singa. Masyado akong sipunin. Uhugin ako. Is he still sleeping? I think so. I'm not. I am, however, incredibly tired. It's getting late in the morning. I know that. He's likely stayed up to watch television. I could hear it from our bedroom. Only because I couldn't get to sleep. Should we wake him? Don't do that, Hanako, please. No, we should leave him. I thought he'd want to walk in early if he didn't get much sleep during the night. Thank you, Lily. Besides, he sounds so peaceful. It would be a shame to wake him up when it's like this. Keep a straight face, it is nice. She cares so much, though. Um, Hanako, could you go to the fridge and fish out what's needed to make lunch? Alright, just the vegetable and rice. That should be enough. We only need something simple as we can eat in town later. Hana's footsteps on the carpeted floor can be heard, moving away from the living room as they do. I feel Lily's hand gently rest on my chest. It takes a titanic effort not to react, but something about her makes me think she knows I'm awake. A long silence passes. The only thought in my mind is of that gentle outstretched hand laying upon my chest. After an indiscernible amount of time, Lily withdraws her hand. Good morning, Hisaw. Huh? Conceding defeat all too easily, I prop myself up and rub my eyes. How'd you know? Your breathing was off. Well, that makes sense. She couldn't have needed that long to work it out. Knowing her hearing, she likely knew before laying her hand on me. If you want to sleep more, you should really go to bed earlier. I heard the television going long into the night. Sorry about that. My medication have been interfering with my sleep for a while now. Even if I'm tired, I have trouble actually sleeping. I'm sorry for bringing that up, Hisaw. I sigh. This is exactly the kind of thing I wish others wouldn't do. Siyempre, others it. Lilly-sama eh. Come on, you worry about me more than I do at times. It just means I have to sleep a bit longer, that's all. Si Lilly-sama eh. Siyempre, kailangan natin mag-straight kay Lilly-sama. But still, I'd say that I'd look absolutely, but I guess that wouldn't have a lot of meaning for you. She'd give a slight of consideration before trailing off with an amused chuckle, giving up the point. If you say so, please do, please do take care of yourself, Hisaw. Go on, Hanako could use some help. She moved to protest but reluctantly acquiesces and disappears into the kitchen. Her hand running along the smooth white walls as she slowly walks. For a while, I sit and watch television in an attempt to wake myself a little more. But it's futile. I don't have anything better to do, so I follow Lily's lead. As I round the corner, I see Hanako and Lily back turn quietly cutting food on the granite-colored counter. Namatay na ako. I am temporarily engrossed as I watch Lily guiding the knife down carefully with a finger on the cabbage she's cutting, each slightly delivered slowly but with precision. She seems a little slow, but considering that she can see what she's doing, it's a small wonder she can cook at all, let alone for both her and Hanako. Hi Hanako, Lily, want any help? Is that his oh, morning Hisaw. Lily jerked back in surprise before turning around, her yelp immediately drawing Hanako and me to her side. What's A small trickle of scarlet falls down from her pale fingertip, the knife having cut just deep enough to draw blood. With the television sound masking my footsteps, she must not have noticed me coming. To compensate for having to use touch to guide everything she does during cooking, she must need to pay extra attention. Lily! Don't worry, Hanako. It's just a small wound. You should still get a band-aid on it. At least until it stops bleeding. First aid stop would be in the bottom right. I think so. Will you be okay here, Hanako? I frown at how little heed she's paying to herself as Hanako gives a quick, almost automatic nod. It's fine, I can keep making lunch. An awkward silence reigned as I set the bottle of antiseptic and the box of band-aids on the side of the sink. Lily's finger held out for me to treat. The lid of the bottle comes off with a minimum of resistance and the small ball of cotton I saw in the liquid stains a pale green. Okay, hold still. This'll probably hurt a bit. She gives a small nod as I take hold of her hand to steady it. With all the tenderness I can master, I gently bring that dampened wad to the small red line. Ah, what? I've barely touched it. Sorry. I give a sigh but both at her reaction and to settle my own nerves. Her pain tolerance is startlingly low. I would tell you to man up, but I can't really do that. As she gives a small giggle, I take advantage of her momentary distraction and gently press the cotton against her finger a few times. Thankfully, it's enough to do the job. We both settle somewhat as I bring the bandage over her fingertip of her finger, covering the wound while making sure not to get it stuck to her fingernail. They're finished. You can move now. Taking her hand from mine, she gently clasps it in the other. Thank you. It's no problem. It's the least I can do after causing you to hurt yourself after all. She slows her head slightly at the apology, absent-mindedly rubbing her hand in what seems to be embarrassment. I really don't mind. Her answer doesn't seem to make much sense, given what happened is pretty clearly my fault. I can't help grimacing at her, despite the fact that her dainty smile still holds. She must not like being reminded of the limitation that her lack of sight imposes on her. Kala ko ba matutulog ka na? Kapatid ko lang. Sabi niya kasi matutulog siya ng maaga. Tapos gising pa. It's something I can possibly fault her for. fallen prey to the same kind of feelings before. Despite my condition not being nearly as ubiquitous in my life, I can really read. Oh my god. Neither of us any the happier. We head back to the very smell of cooking food coming from the kitchen. I lay out the plates of food, steam slowly rising from well-cooked rice and curry dishes while Hanako lays out the cutlery. Knife one side, fork on the other, western, half perfectly fitting for someone like Lily. As we take our seats, taking careful heed of the dark red tablecloth hanging below our knees, Lily emerges from the kitchen. In her hands are 3 glasses and a bottle of wine. As I recall our previous run-in with the devilish elixir, I hide my face in my palm. Alcohol, seriously. She paused as she reaches the table, a playful grin perched on her face. Akira specifically gave permission to take a bottle from her collection. Not only does she gives alcohol to minors, she even lets them pilfer their own. The perfect model for a responsible adult Akira is not. More to the point though is that this is hardly a meal deserving of alcohol. I'm starting to think Lily is the type to easily become hooked on things. That's not really the problem. I don't really have any qualms with it, but didn't you have a bad experience with it last time? The last time was likely due to drinking too much, so a single glass shouldn't prove a problem. Thinking of it as a learning experience. Oh. I can't recall my many learnings that made me feel rotten before putting me to sleep, but I'll take your word for it. She dips an uninjured finger inside to feel the liquid level. Tip against the bottom as the liquid rises up. The finger of her the white of her finger almost seems to glow as the sunlight hits it, the delicate outline blurred and refracted by the glass. Her fingers are definitely longer than mine. The kind I think more suited to a pianist than a teacher. She'd likely to have done well if she'd learned how to play. Marami akong alam ng mga bulag na magaling magpiano. Wala pala akong na alam ng mga mga manga, pero wala akong alam na pangalan. Sorry. Maling conversation. We quickly dig in. Inom lang ako tubig. Water is great. Stay hydrated. We quickly dig into our meal, forks and knives clattering against plates. None of us are particularly eager to speak while eating, Lily altogether too reserved for such a thing. Hanako probably too shy to start conversation. I too busy savoring the food. Such a pedestrian activity, eating together at a table, it seems so utterly normal. Yet it makes me realize how long it's been since I've done something like this. Just the three of us sitting around a single table, eating as if we were a malformed family. Maybe malformed? Ano yun? Maybe this trip as far away from everything as we are was worth it. It takes quite a long time, but eventually we all finish our surprisingly filling meal. The wine thankfully has little effect given we only had a glass or two each. I slumped back into the sink, rubbing my stomach contentedly. I'm stuffed. Lily passed her mouth with a napkin twice, only twice, and with evenly timed intervals in between. It's hard to tell sometimes how she acts is a well-trained routine or a well-rehearsed act. Oh, Josama eh. I think I must be as well. Did you like it, Hanako? It was nice. Now that we're well fed, shall we be off? Off? Where? Oh, you weren't privy to the discussion between Hanako and me earlier. I get the impression that she's having a subtle dig at my sleeping in. We'll be going to the town nearby. Oh, nice. I guess I should have expected two girls to take a holiday as an excuse to go shopping, no matter where on the planet they may be. I am interested to see more around the north, so this can only be a good thing. Sounds good. How long's the walk in then? It's supposed to be around a mile to a mile and a half. Nearby, huh? Great. Just great. As we climb up the path surrounded by trees and undergrowth, I watch Lily and Hanako walking ahead. The slightly breeze all but whisk away the sound of Lily's cane gently tapping on the ground. I noticed that Lily since removed the band-aid now that the bleeding of her finger has stopped. Ang bilis naman. Sa akin, kapag ako nasasugatan, mabagal maghilom. Anemic kasi ako eh. A deep lang feeling breath of the fresh country air makes me wish all the harder that the air around home had been quite so clean. It can't have even been half a mile, but I'm already working up a sweat. It isn't a pleasantly cool day, though, so I shouldn't be too hard on myself for it. Hey Lily, how well do you know this town anyway? Since I spent since I spent quite a few of my vacation here up until I entered Yamaho, I'd say I know it fairly well. We used to drive there once a week and then. How I wish Akira was here to drive us now. I quickly take a moment to rub my hands a couple of times, staving off the old, oddly cold feeling in them. Did you like it up here? I'd say it was nice during winter, but as you can work out, summer gets a little too hot for comfort. It's nice and quiet at least. My family's little house is quite far south. When they left Japan, my parents gave it to Akira and me. Only Akira lives there now after my moving into Yamako. Well, quietly certainly describes this place. Though lonely is how I'd put it. Other than the prophesied small town, there isn't another soul for miles around. Coming from a home nestled deep within the big city, it's certainly different. I think that if I'd not come to Yamaha, staying out in the country like this would be too much of a change to get used to. After getting accustomed to the school's isolation, though, the idea of living in a place such as this has become almost inviting to be somewhere away from the hustle and bustle of the metropolitan centers. Gusto ko din yun, yung parang pupunta ka sa mga puro grassy plains lang. Tas walang mga katao-tao pero may katao-tao pero malayo sa'yo. Tapos bababa ka lang kapag kailangan mo yung parang, oh my god, gusto ko ganon. Yung mga, kailangan mo lang ng mga konting social interaction, sabi nga daw nila. Pero most of the time, you're alone. Yung parang yung bahay mo malayo, pero may town. Katulad nitong summer house ni na Lilly-sama. Good, good place. So, Hisa, have you been to Hokkaido before? Nah, I used to live down south and we never had any field trips or holidays up this far. Well, it's a new experience for you then. Yeah, it is. I'm surprised at how nice it feels here. How about you, Hanako? She shakes her head from side to side. It's my first time too. As we continue walking, I begin to feel pins and needles in my legs. It's a little disturbing given there's no reason for it to be happening. Could you two hold on a minute? I just need to. Is anything wrong? Nah, I've just got pins and needles in. Hot damn. My vocal cords suddenly become taut as my chest tightens instantaneously. I quickly pull my upper arm over it, trying to hold the shot of pain spreading throughout my entire body. God damn! Ini-enjoy ko na yung holiday tapos padating kang arrhythmia ka. Wata, mofuck ka. Yung mofucking arrhythmia. Hisaw? Lily's face is only mildly concerned, not knowing the sight which Hana was recoiling from. I'm fine. Just tired. I'm removing my arm from my chest and force myself to begin walking again. It's just a minor heart flutter, so it'll pass like the others. It only takes a couple of steps before my body violently revolts against me. My legs suddenly beginning to give way underneath me, and all tension in my knees seeming to evaporate. Before I can react, they uselessly give way under my weight, leaving me only just enough time to brace myself and fall onto all fours. Ah, damn. Hisa, ah. As I look up to her, I realize my face is still taut with pain, only adding that much more to her worrying. Hisaw, Hanako, tell me what's going on. Hanako, tell me. Hanako quickly moves to my side as Lily almost panics, having little clue as to exactly how bad a condition I'm in. While she stands there petrified, I lower my face and take a deep breath. I came to a realization that makes me endlessly irritated with my stupid self. With all the excitement of my new surroundings, I'd entirely neglected to take my medication like last night or even this morning. At mamamatay na ba ako? Taking another breath, the acute pain in my chest begins to die down as suddenly as it had arrived. Thank God, thank God, thank God, thank God, thank God. As it does, I become acutely aware of the sweat by now pouring off my face and the two scared girls around me. Hisaw! I'm fine, Lily, I'm fine. I screw up my brow in an effort to lever myself up. Hanako's arms quickly moving to catch me if I fall as I stumble a bit before regaining my balance. I I look to Lily and Hanako worrying written on both their face. I feel awful, utterly awful. Bruh, don't bullshit us. Kapag di ka fine, sabihin mo di ka fine. I think we should go back. I, realizing the futility of protesting, I looked away in frustration. Fine. God damn. You fucking heart. You fucking heart. You always ruin the moments. Fuck you, heart. Fuck you. I opened my eyes groggily, completely bereft of energy. For a while, I simply lay down lifelessly, staring at the ceiling as I reviewed the events of the morning in an attempt to organize my thoughts. We went to walk to town. My heart nearly gave way. We came back. I took my pills. I slept. I can only remember each period of time as a snapshot, but the timeline is clear enough. The memory of the girl's face as struggled to stand in an unpleasant one, stingingly my feelings harshly. If I look at the ceiling hard enough, I can imagine the tiles edges and the small dimples of the ceiling in the hospital. That fact alone is enough to make me sit up and try to pull myself together. I scratched the back of my disheveled hair, glancing around the room. Lily and Anna are nowhere to be seen and the television's turned off. The clock above it says it's pretty late in the afternoon. The noticeably reddened sky outside the windows confirm it further. I turned and picked myself off the futon, swaying slightly as I put my arms for balance. I suppose I better go look for the girls to see if they're alright. As I look out the way, I faintly see something in the distance. Straining my eyes, I can just make out the shape of a person's figure. Her long blonde hair swaying in the faint breeze, makes her almost seem to melt into the bright yellow of the wheat field. Without a second thought, I leave the room to follow the lone apparition. At name. The brightness of the setting sun assaults my freshly woken eyes, forcing me to avert them until they adjust. The long yellow strands of wheat brush against my legs as I wade through them, the densely grown field making it hard to advance. Regardless, my eyes stay fixed ahead through the solitary figure. Within minutes, I reach her meters behind her turned back. Lily. She simply nods. Where's Hanako? She's in bed. She went to sleep after I calmed her down. She says it matter-of-factly and with as few words as possible, as if saying any more was strictly forbidden. There's something different about her. Her normally confident figure seems oddly fragile, her body offering no resistance to the breeze blowing her skirt. The strand of it away from side to side while a deafening pause passes, the only sound being their rustling. As we stand in the field alone, I know what I have to ask. What's wrong, Lily? You're not acting like you usually do. Remember when I talked of my family, Hisaw? Your family. I looked downwards in thought of sifting through my scattered memories. The event of the event seems to leap ready to hand when I search for it, rising to the surface as soon as it was recalled. After Hanako's birthday party, she gives a single simple nod. It was nice. Back then, you and I celebrating with Hanako, simply sharing presents, talking, having fun together. It was almost as if we were a family. One small misshapen family. I thought that could just go on forever, but just the three of us happily together. She takes a long breath, a slight shakiness to it, just barely audible through the moving air. Even if my family was so far away, as long as we were together, that was all I needed. I don't want to lose you, Hisaw. I didn't even realize how afraid I was losing of someone else until today. until I'm sorry, Lily. I know my body's weak, but even then I make the most stupid of mistakes. Don't apologize, please. Don't apologize, Lily. She turns to face me, her pale cheeks stained with tears. Oh, one misguided step after another, she stumbles towards me, her arms held out in search of so much as a faint brush against me. Oh my god. Oh my god. My heart doesn't race nor pound as I step towards Lily, gently taking and steadying her in my arms, as she quickly clutches to me, sobbing. With her face trembling against my shoulder, the next words from her mouth are the last I expected. I love you, Hisaw. I love you. 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 Don't go away. I beg of you. Never ever go away. I love you. So please. So that's why she's been acting like this. That tender voice when I called her. Her thoughtless concern at the slightest pain I might feel. Phew! Ang ganda naman ng confession. Nasa middle of the wheat fields. Noise! Feels like a fantasy. After having been left in Japan without her family and with only Akira, Hanako, and me around, She was afraid of losing yet another person who was close to her. She was genuinely worried for me. It's a strange feeling, a mix of surprise and sorrow. Ugh. Yet also of the deepest gratitude I think I've ever felt. The only reaction I can master among my conflicting emotion is a calm sigh. Bakadana, you idiot. Ho! Hisa. For a fleeting moment, I feel her body becoming still. The only movement to be felt is the calm afternoon breeze. I said it before, didn't I? It's only natural to feel concerned about those around you. I'm still here and I will always be here because I want to see you more each day, to share in your happiness, to support you in your sadness. But most of all, I still be here because I want to see your smile, your true smile. How so heavy, so heavy. A single gust of wind rustles the long strands of wheat. A second silence passes. Smile when you want to smile, cry when you want to cry. I love you, Lily. So you don't have to hold back anymore. Sheesh. With that, her arms clutch my back as tight as she can, her face buried beside mine. Di ako naiyak. Sumipon lang talaga ako. Pero, napapayak ako. Pero sipon ko, sorry sa narorowin yung moment dahil sa sipon ko. I'm truly sorry about that. Hot damn. Her her tears fall down my back and she cries unnecessary as the last of her resistance melts away. Hisaw, Hisaw, Hisaw. I close my eyes and bring my head down to her shoulder, holding her shaking frame tightly. It's okay, Lily. I'll never go away. I promise. Phew! We slowly walk back to the house, holding each other tightly as we take a seat inside. Lily leans her onto my shoulder as I put my arm around her waist. Neither of us want anyone to break the silence. With her eyes shut, it's hard to work out whether she's fallen asleep. Not that I mind, the warmth of her body leaning against me, the softness of her hand delicately held in mine. Oh yeah. For a long time, we sit leaning against one another, sharing our warmth and feeling as night eventually begins to settle in. Lily's gentle, soft voice ends the silence. Thank you, Hisaw. Thank you for returning my feelings. Did you think I wouldn't? There was the possibility. I take a deep breath in thought that much was only my fault. It's funny actually. I was thinking of telling you about my feelings, my own feelings sometime soon. I guess in the way you saved me the effort. She raises her head a little and gives a tiny amused giggle. I smile at how earnest it is, so girlish in its lightness. She collects herself soon afterwards, her hair resting against my shoulder. Feeling a bit better? She gives a small nod. You are thoughtful, Hisaw. That's why I like you. I'm sorry I'm like this. As much as I didn't want to make you concerned for me, I couldn't do anything to prevent it. Don't apologize for it. Please don't. Lily, have I ever apologized for my blindness even once? You can't help the way you were born, Hisaw. There's no point in apologizing for who you are. She says this with surprising conviction. In the end, it was perhaps this mentality which spurred her to befriend me in such a short time, in addition to her motherly instincts. She did seem to become trusting very quickly, but I'd never questioned why. Now it seems obvious that she did so to help me as I went through one of the lowest points of my life. I moved to respond but cut myself off as I feel her fingers run gently through my hair. I feel their soft and delicate touch moving downwards to trace the contours of my face. Her palm finally settling on my cheek. You are a beautiful person, Hisaw. Please don't ever apologize for that. For a moment, I'm utterly speechless. I slowly bend my head down, placing a tender kiss on her light, voluminous hair. We're a couple of right old fools, aren't we? We are. After a long calm, she speaks again. Hisaw, yes, I, I wouldn't mind if you. I feel her hand tensing under mine, trembling slightly. My mouth opens, but try as I might, I can formulate a response to her proposition. Lily, before I can say another word, she slips her hand from under mine and tenderly holds the side of my face once more. Oh, please. Oh, shit. Oh. You may be so sorry. Holding her against my cheek as I nod a single time. Okay. As I look into her eyes, she leans towards me. Her delicate lips touch my eyes. She guides herself with her hand. Oh, yes!
kaya gusto ko talaga mga magbasa eh. She breaks off not a second later faintly smiling. Ito yung good shit sa mga visual novel. Yung parang describe detailed by detailed. So good. May imagine mo talaga. Oh, kikilig ka na lang. Yes! I love you, Hisaw. We kiss again, this time with both of us meeting the other. While the previous kiss was one of the love, this one is of lust. Our things, our tongues, meeting and our breathing heavy. Oh shit, wait, may tongue action. Oh my god. Wait lang, ano ba? Naka-disable naman. Oh shit. After precious seconds, we part both of our faces, well and truly flushed. Both of us our fingers to our lips in unison, recalling the fleeting feeling, rapidly becoming buried both by our urges and bashfulness. Lilith is the first to shift uncomfortably though. Oh, oh yes! Oh yes! What is it? Should we get more comfortable? Oh yes! Oh, oh, okay. Now that she mentions it, this photon would be a bit too narrow to do much on. Considering the thoughts running through both of our minds, it's no small wonder one of us has any measure of foresight left. Ah! I take her hands and guide her sideways as I move. The brief and awkward dance ending with both of us tentatively sitting on the floor opposite each other. As I reach forward to pull her top up, she stops after she moves her hand to do the same. You're shaking. I pause for a moment and look at my hands. Sure enough, they're quivered slightly, whether it's from nervous or excitement. I'm not sure. I guess I am. So you're as nervous as I am then. I withdraw my hands and sigh, steadying myself. We have plenty of time, so there's no need to rush this. Sorry, it's my first time, so I'm a bit. She giggles shakily, all but confirm what I reasonably deduced by now. It's the same for me. I am happy we could share this together. I match her smile twofold, leaning forward and taking her body in my arms as she reaches to hug me back. I love you, Lily. Ha! You already said that. Ha! Yes! I can't help grinning even such a situation she still has her wits about her. Breaking our embrace, we decide to take off our clothing. Oh shit! Oh shit! Well, it's easier this way. I don't doubt it's just an attempt to distract ourselves from our nerves. With slightly stiff, I begin to slide the first button out from my shirt. Once removed the last of our clothes, which end up haphazardly piled behind us, my breath is taken by the sight in front of me. Phew! Bawal, bawal. Kahit ano yung sa ano, kabocha squash. Nice filter. Nice filter. Yun na yung ad sabi ko, may adult content dyan eh. Haha, nice. After oh, okay. Okay, doon na tayo magtatapos na muna. Nice. Nice. Tsaka titingnan ko yung ano, yung ano, dito, yung adult content mamaya para sa akin. Haha, nice. Save na natin yan dito. Oh yes. Oh yes, I really like it. Gray outlook tayo. Nice. Nice, nice. Oh my god. Iman na tayo. Oh my god. Official na, 'di ba? Kami na si Hisaw na tsaka si Lilly-sama, 'di ba? Official na siya. Masyado akong na-excite, masyadong tumibok yung puso ko. Hindi ka na ako magkaroon na ng arrhythmia sa sarili ko. Masyadong nagbi-beat down. Yung aking puso nagpa-palpitated. Baka mamatay na rin talaga ako. Oh my god. So good. So good. And that's it, you know? Really makes it so good, you know? At doon na matatapos tong part na to. At sanay kung gusto nyo makita yung mga adult content, syempre laruin nyo na lang sarili ninyo. Kasi, bawal ko i-post sa YouTube. At salamat Salamat sa pakikinig, salamat sa panonood. At dito na tayo magtatapos. Next part. Yes, yes. Yes, sana naman magawa ko agad ng bilis-bilis. Ng maaga. Ng mga, agad-agad bukas. May mga skip days ako. Okay. Off na tayo. Johnny. Bye-bye.